So this is the second part of the video. I'm just going to work on the back part, which not as many problems. So the first three questions are your distance formula questions. So you just have to remember your distance formula. And just like with the midpoint, be very, very, very careful with your signs and your adding and subtracting because you don't want to mess those up. So the formula was the square root of your x values subtracted. So x2 minus x1 squared plus your y values subtracted. Okay, so we're going to be using that. So when I plug them in, remember the first one is going to be your x1 and your y1. The second one is your x2 and your y2. So subtract your x's, so negative 7 minus 5 squared plus subtract your y's, so negative 7 minus 9 squared. So my advice with these is, again, take your time, but write out every single step and really focus on what you're doing with your adding and subtracting and your negatives. Write it exactly how it says. So negative 7 minus 5 is negative 12, so negative 12 squared, plus negative 7 minus 9 is negative 16, so negative 16 squared. Negative 12 squared would be positive 144. Negative 16 squared is positive 256. 144 plus 256 is going to give me 400. On the key, I accidentally wrote 200, but it's still the correct answer. So it should be square root of 400. So square root of 400 is 20. Okay, number 12, doing the same thing. So start off with just the basic formula. Subtract your x's, so negative 2 minus negative 6 plus negative 10 minus negative 10. So just because they were negatives, we still write minus negative. Okay. So square root, negative 2 minus negative 6, that's the same, we do plus plus. So that's negative 2 plus 6, which is 4. So 4 squared plus negative 10 plus plus. So negative 10 plus 10 is 0. 4 squared is 16. 0 squared is 0. 16 plus 0, obviously 16. Square root of 16 is 4. Okay, number 13. Plug in your numbers. So subtract your x's, negative 2 minus negative 4 squared plus 2 minus 4 squared. So negative 2 minus negative 4 is the same thing as negative 2 plus 4, which is 2. So 2 squared plus 2 minus 4 is negative 2, so negative 2 squared. 2 squared is 4. Negative 2 squared is also 4. 4 plus 4 is 8, so it's the square root of 8. I believe I was told that if you have these questions, your answer should be a whole number, but if he doesn't let you use a calculator, I would just leave it like this. But if he doesn't let you use a calculator, I would probably go through, see if you made a little mistake to see if maybe it should be a whole number. So if you don't get a whole number as your answer, and you're not allowed to use a calculator on the test, I suggest you go back through it, double check your work. Now the last three questions were just ones that I wrote out by hand because I couldn't find any online, so I just made some up. So we have PQR, this whole arc, and we have QS going through it. So PQS is right here, so that's 30s. I like to label my picture. I find it easier to visualize it that way. Since this has one arc and this has one arc, I know that this is also going to be 30. They're congruent. I know that the whole thing PQR is this equation right here. So this whole thing is negative 3x plus 72. Now I'm going to solve for x. So I know the whole thing, negative 3x plus 72, is going to be equal to the angle down here. Well, 30 plus 30 is 60. And then you're just going to solve it. So subtract 72 to get negative 3x equals 60 minus 72 is negative 12. Then divide by negative 3 to get x equals 4. And just like with the first video, if he then wanted to know more information about that, you could plug it back in, but you should get 60 because we already know that this is going to equal 60. Okay, two more. 15, I have a complementary angle because it's a right angle, 90-degree angle. So ABD is 5x plus 1, and DBC is negative 4x plus 86. Since that's a right angle, I know that these two angles put together need to equal 90. So I'm going to add these together. So 5x plus 1 plus this other angle, negative 4x plus 86, and I know that together they need to equal 90. Combine your like terms, 5x minus 4x is just x, 1 plus 86 is 87, equals 90. Subtract 87, so x equals 3. So again, if he then wanted to know what each angle was, you could just plug it in. Negative 4 times 3 is negative 12, plus 86 would give you 74. And then you could do the same thing here. So I'm just going to do that just so you see it, just in case if he asks. Okay, so then what would angle DBC be? You could just do negative 4 times 3 plus 86, negative 12 plus 86, and that's 74. And then if he asks for that angle, plug it into there. 5 times 3 plus 1 is 15 plus 1, so that's 16. And then you could use that and double check. 16 plus 74 is 90. So that's what we wanted. Okay, number 16. These two angles are adjacent. They create a supplementary angle, so I know that they need to add together to get 180. So ABD is x plus 3. And DBC is 7x plus 97. So I know if I add those two together, I need to equal 180 since it created a straight line. So x plus 3 plus 7x plus 97 equals 180. X plus 7x is 8x. 3 plus 97 is 100. Subtract 100 to get 8x equals 80. Divide by 8 to get x equals 10. So then again, if he wanted to know these angles, which I did a very bad job with these, just goes to show that things are not drawn to scale like he says. If I plug in 10, 10 plus 3 is 13. Now that is obviously not a 13-degree angle. And then 7 times 10 plus 97 is 70 plus 97. So that would give me 167. So don't just believe what you see, because this obviously doesn't look like a 13-degree angle, but apparently that's what I came up with. So x was 10, this would be 13 degrees, that would be 167 degrees. So again, if you have any questions about any of these, want more examples of these type of problems, or want some examples that weren't included, please let me know. I'm more than happy to help.